Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man istanna bi sunnatihi ila yawmiddin thumma amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Very warm welcome to you all. Very excited for our second class of how to focus in Salah. I want to add some further points to the introduction. So if you want to turn to the introduction, make some extra points, inshallah. Again, it's going back to the life of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want to speak about the 10th year of his life. The 10th year of his life was known as the year of sorrow, Aam al-Huzn. And the reason it was dubbed the year of sorrow is because he faced some personal tragedies during that year. Of those tragedies was the passing away of his wife and our mother Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. And he was married to her for 25 years. Imagine losing someone that you've been close to for 25 years. And not only that, she was the mother of all of his children. And on top of that, she was his closest companion. She was his supporter. In fact, from the very beginning, she embraced Islam and was one of the first to embrace Islam. And when she passed away, radiallahu ta'ala anha, there was a very painful moment in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of his companions said that after she passed away, after burying her rather, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not seen smiling for months, even though it is his sunnah to smile. Yeah. Now, just to show you how much he loved her, if you fast forward his life from that point, now he's married to Aisha. And there's a hadith in Sahih Bukhari where Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she says that I became frustrated one day because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is singing the praises of his wife Khadija. And I said to him, it is as if there's no other woman in the world in your mind except this one. Yes. And then he wanted to describe her. So he described Khadija and he said, Innaha kanat wa kanat. She was and she just was. As if to say, I can't find the words to describe how amazing this woman was. Fast forward even more, the Battle of Badr. And his daughter Zainab, her husband, is still a mushrik, fighting on the side of the Quraysh. He's captured, a prisoner of war. And the Prophet ﷺ says that we will ransom these prisoners. If they offer us something which is of benefit, we will release them. So his daughter Zainab comes with a necklace to try and ransom her husband. And when that necklace falls into the lap of the Prophet ﷺ, his face changes color and his eyes swell up with tears. And then she asks him, why do you cry? He said, because this was given to you by Khadija. And seeing it reminds me of her and it makes me want to cry. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is how much he loved her. So the day that she passed away was a very difficult day for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Now, that was a 10th year of prophecy. What happened the following year? What amazing thing happened to the Prophet ﷺ the year after? Yes. Isra'i wal Mi'raj. He was taken on a night journey. Now that night journey, what was it? Many things happened. But ultimately, the Prophet ﷺ was taken out of this world through the heavens, one by one, being greeted and being praised by other prophets, until he goes to a place known as Sidratil Muntaha, the low tree of the highest point. Who is there accompanying him? Jibreel alayhi salam. And Jibreel says to the Prophet ﷺ that I can't go beyond this point. Now it's just you by yourself. And he goes further until he finds himself in the company of none other than Allah Jalla wa Ala. And in that company, in that audience of Allah, Allah revealed to him the obligation of the prayer. You know the story, 50 times a day. Then the back and forth until it was reduced down to 5 times a day. Now, if you think about that, what does that teach us about the Salah? It shows us that not just is the Salah something so important that Allah raised the Prophet ﷺ up to the heavens to tell him about his obligation, but also the way it's supposed to help the Prophet ﷺ. That I know that you are going through a very difficult time, those tragedies that you just faced. But one of the ways that you are going to cope with those difficulties is through the institution of Salah. And on top of that, the next stage of your life, which is going to be the migration to Medina, and then everything else that comes with that migration, the preparation for the next stage of your life is going to be through the institution of Salah. And that is what we are learning. That the Salah is meant to be something which gives you strength in life. And it brings you close to Allah in a way that it takes you to the next stage of your life. Now we said last time as well that the Salah, one of the reasons why it affected the Prophet ﷺ in the way that it did is because it had the secret ingredient. Now what was that secret ingredient we said last week? What is that secret ingredient which is missing in our Salah that was present in the Prophet ﷺ? What is it called? Khushu'. Khushu'. Now again, what is khushu'? I'm going to give you a definition of one of the famous scholars of the 6th century, Ar-Raghib al-Asfahani. Yes, Ar-Raghib al-Asfahani, he said, this is going now to what is khushu'. This is not in the notes, so I'm going to add it in there now for you. He said that khushu' is when somebody feels humility in the heart that is evident on their body. Yes, he feels humility in the heart that is clearly manifesting on his body and his behavior. So based on that, he said that there's a narration that the Prophet ﷺ, he once saw a man, he was fiddling with his beard whilst praying. Yeah, and he said, لو خشع قلب هذا لخشعت جوارحه. That had this man really been experiencing khushu' in his heart, you would have seen it on his limbs. Yes, and think about that for a moment. You know, you may have seen people with wandering eyes in Salah. They are wandering around, looking at the ceiling, looking at the carpet, looking at next man, and you're thinking to yourself, that is a clear sign that there's no khushu' in this person's prayer. In fact, it may be yourself, that you have a very bad habit of looking around. You know, somebody sees a stain on the carpet and that's it, he becomes fascinated, and everything else is left his mind. The Prophet ﷺ is saying that that man, he has no khushu' in his salah. It's very clear in the way he's behaving. Now on the opposite side, some of the companions, they would make a dua. Look at this dua. They would say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min khushu'in nifaq. Khushu'in nifaq. What does that mean? Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the fake type of khushu'. The khushu' of the hypocrite. What is the khushu' of the hypocrite? He pretends that he's in a very spiritual prayer when in fact his heart has no spirituality whatsoever. His heart may be thinking about all sorts of things, but he pretends to have khushu' by standing straight, by doing all the postures properly. So they would make dua to Allah. Oh Allah, please save me from having that fake type of khushu'. May Allah save us all as well. Allahumma ameen. So this is a recap. Now we know what the secret ingredient is. It's about trying to work out how to acquire that khushu'. So let us go to the beginning of the salah. Because we said that the way a person is going to acquire khushu' in their salah is by learning the meanings of the word for the salah. And this is a very important point. The connection between knowing the meanings and experiencing khushu'. There is a hadith, some say this is a statement of Ammar ibn Yasir and not of the Prophet ﷺ. But anyhow, the saying goes, لَيْسَ لِلْعَبْدِ مِنْ صَلَاتِهِ إِلَّا مَا عَقَلَ مِنْهَا. That a slave will have only the share of the prayer to the extent which he understood. He will only have a share of his prayer to the extent that he understood. Meaning that the more you understand of the prayer, the more you will get the reward of that prayer. The more you will experience that prayer. And the opposite is true as well. That if a person doesn't understand what he's saying in salah, the less will he be affected by that salah. Now one of the really crazy things that I came across in the research for this course is Imam Ghazali. He said that in the Quran, Allah Jalla wa'ala, He prohibits alcohol in 3 stages. The second stage of the prohibition was that believers don't pray when you're drunk. Did you know that? don't pray when you're drunk. So before alcohol became prohibited completely, there was a stage where Allah said, you're not allowed to pray when you're drunk. And there is a verse in the Quran, in Surah An-Nisa, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون. Believers, don't come anywhere near the prayer whilst you are intoxicated until you understand what you are saying. What does that mean? It means that the reason why you're not allowed to pray is because you don't understand what you're saying. And that's because you're drunk. But today, we have a situation where a person may have never drunk alcohol in his life, he doesn't understand what he's saying in Salah. That's quite shocking, isn't it? SubhanAllah. And that's what we want to change. Yeah, that's what we want to change. So let's begin. The opening takbir. What is the opening takbir called? Takbiratul ihram. Why is it called takbiratul ihram? It's called takbiratul ihram because certain things become haram when you say that takbir. Like eating, like drinking, like talking, etc., etc. That's why it's called takbiratul ihram. What do you say when you do takbiratul ihram? Allahu Akbar. Now what's the usual translation for Allahu Akbar? God is great. Not by a white man. What's the usual translation for Allahu Akbar? Yes. Allah is the greatest. But you know what? That's actually incorrect translation. You only get one go, bro. Allah is the greatest is the wrong translation. The correct translation is Allah is greater. ... I want you to write that down. Allah is greater ... That is the accurate translation of Allahu Akbar. In Arabic it is called ism tafdeel lil muqaran, a comparative, not a superlative. Now if I say to you that Ahmed is faster than, what question comes into your mind? Faster than who, right? The same idea here. Allahu Akbar is an incomplete sentence. And it is meant to be completed by what you are doing in that moment. Now let me give you an example. Imagine that you are the CEO of a big company. And you have this very high-powered job. You're in the middle of a board meeting, discussing with your colleagues what is the vision of the business, okay, and the future of the business. Some really important conversation going on right now. And as they're nodding away, your ego is becoming inflated as well because you're the boss man and they're all under you. Then you look at your watch and you see that it is time for Dhuhr. So in that moment where people were looking up to you and you were conducting your board meeting, you say, you know what, Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater than this board meeting. Allah is greater than people's perception of me. And you say, you know what guys, we're going to have to postpone this meeting or adjourn it for a few minutes, I got to go and pray. At that moment, Allahu Akbar just became complete with your action. That is what it means. Sisters at home, they may be engaged in some house chores or cooking or looking after the children, and they see that the time of Salah has come. When they stand and they say Allahu Akbar, what they're actually saying is Allah is greater than everything else happening in my life right now. And some of the scholars go so far as saying, like Ibn Uthaymeen, that this movement with the hands, it is a symbolic movement, not only to show respect to Allah, but it is as if you are placing all the worries of the world at the back of your hands and you're throwing them over your shoulders. You're saying, Allahu Akbar, you are greater than all of that, Allah. I'm here to engage in your worship. How amazing is that? That's just the beginning of Salah. We haven't even started what it means to go into the Salah. But this is a little bit about Allahu Akbar. Now, opening supplication. Based on this opening supplication, I'm going to ask that quiz question. Now, I know everyone loves kebabs here, so there may be a big fight, but inshallah, it is not going to be an easy question. Opening supplication. Number 1 point. Did you know that there are over 10 different du'as you can say in the beginning of your salah, coming from the Prophet ﷺ himself? 10 different du'as. This is probably the most well known. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa tabarak ismuk wa ta'ala jadduk wa la ilaha ghayruk. Now I want us to say this du'a together because some people, they mispronounce a part of this du'a. So I'm going to recite it slowly and just say it out aloud after me. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Wa tabarak ismuk. Wa ta'ala jadduk. Now here people make a mistake. They say wa ta'ala jadduk. Wa ta'ala jadduk. It is wa ta'ala jadduk. So let's say it again. Wa ta'ala jadduk. Wa la ilaha ghayruk. Okay. So I think there was a baby competing with us in the back as well. Right. Now what does this mean? I'm going to break it down to 3 parts for you. 3 parts. First part, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. What does that first part mean? That means it is a declaration. When you say Subhanallah, you are declaring something. You are declaring that Allah is free from all faults and deficiencies. When you say Subhanallah, you are saying, Allah, I declare that you have no shortcomings or deficiencies whatsoever. And implied in that is that you are saying that, there are people in this world that say bad things about God, that deny God, that set up rivals with God. But me, I declare that you are above and beyond all of the foolish things that people say. That is what Subhanaka Allahumma means. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik, the bihamd part, means that I declare this perfection of you in a way that befits your praise. The ba, for those Arabic geeks out there, is the ba of mulabasa. Yes? A declaration of your perfection according to your praise. Because you can praise a child, but that's not the way you praise an adult, right? And the way you praise Allah is like a way that you never praise anybody else. Allah, we give you a declaration of your perfection that is due to your praise. That is the first part. The second part is وَتَبَارَكَ اسْمُكَ وَتَعَالَى جَدُّكَ. Tabarak ismuk means 2 things. Number 1, your name, Allah, and every other name of yours is blessed, has barakah. But also that your name can be invoked to instill barakah in me and anything else around me. That not only is your name have barakah, but it has the power to give barakah to everything else. So when you say وَتَبَارَكَ اسْمُكَ, you are saying, Allah, you are Mubarak, and please give me barakah in my life, in my money, in my family, in my studies. تَبَارَكَ اسْمُكَ وَتَعَالَى جَدُّكَ, and exalted is your Jadd. Jadd means 2 things. Number 1 is your greatness. Your greatness needs to be celebrated, Allah. Number 2, Jadd means your independence. That you are free of need. You are the one who provides for other people's needs. You are rich, you are ghani. Ta'ala jadduk is, I celebrate your greatness or your richness. And the last part, وَلَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُكَ, which means that there is no deity out there worthy of worship except you, Allah. Nothing out there deserves to be loved like you deserve to be loved. Nothing out there deserves to be hoped in like you. Nothing out there deserves to be feared like you deserve to be feared. La ilaha ghayruk. Now here's the quiz question. There is another dua which I'm going to highlight for you, which is also very beautiful. And after I explain it, I'm going to ask you which dua is better to say in the beginning of the salah. Dua number 2 or dua number 1. So dua number 2 goes like this. Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayna khatayaya kama ba'adta bayna al-mashriqi wal-maghrib. Oh Allah, distance me from my mistakes like you have distanced the east from the west. Allahumma naqqini min khataya kama yunaqqa thawb al-abyad min ad-danas. Oh Allah, cleanse me from my mistakes or my sins like you, or like the white thobe is cleansed from all types of dirtiness, yes, or stains. Allahumma khsil li khataya, Allahumma khsil khatayaya bil ma'i wal thalji wal barad. And Allah, wash away my sins with water, with ice and with snow. Yes. This is very beautiful dua, isn't it? You're opening the salah, you are begging Allah, Allah please just, all of my sins, just take them away from me. Just take them and throw them somewhere far away. That is a very beautiful dua. Question is, which dua is better to say in the beginning and why? Why? Very important. Okay. Uncle Rashid, you're going to eat your own kebab roll. Yes.
I think the first one's better because you're actually starting off with salah by praising Allah. Here you're asking for Allah to fulfill your needs. Here you're praising Allah, and I think that's more because
Right, okay. Let's see if anyone can do better than that answer. Yes.
Well, I was going to go for number one, but I changed mine. I'm going to go for number two because it's like it's short and if you look at the way it's being written, it's quite powerful. Like it's got a lot of meaning.
The second one's got a very powerful meaning.
Yeah, it's going straight to the point. It's just like, I'm in there and I'm going to get it done.
Wow, mashallah. You should take up motivational speaking, bro, man. At the back, yes.
I think the first one is better because you're just starting the salah.
Yes.
And the first thing should be praising Allah, building the relationship, and then seeking what you want to see.
Oh, okay, we got some competition now. Now, from the youngsters, we'll make it easy for you, Yani. And if you don't want kebabs, khalas, we'll sort something else out, no worries. Huh? Yeah, yes.
I think the first one is better because every time you will praise Allah first, and in Surah Al-Fatiha you praise Allah in the first ayah. So I think the first one is better because you're starting the salah with praise Allah.
Right. Can you come to the front, please? So, Safwan, how old are you now?
10.
10. Okay, Safwan, please tell us your answer. So, which one is better?
The first one.
Okay, because?
Because when you start something, for example, Surah Fatiha, you start by praising Allah. So I think you should do that in Salah as well.
And then what happens in Surah Fatiha after you praise Allah?
You ask Him for,
Yeah, what do you ask for?
you ask Him for forgiveness.
MashaAllah. Say MashaAllah. Very good, very good. Take a seat, inshallah. Do you like kebabs? Is that going to be okay for you?
Yeah.
Excellent, MashaAllah. Look, he's humble as well. He's not telling me he doesn't like kebabs. Take a seat, inshallah. Very good. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said that the first dua is actually better than the second one, because when a person wants to speak to a king, he doesn't immediately present his needs. He first praises the king, and he says words that will please the king, and thereafter does he present his need. So he said that the first one is better than the second because praise should always come before making dua. Yes. However, a person should try to memorize as many of these du'as as possible because it creates a novelty in the salah. That you think, Allahu Akbar, okay, which one should I choose? The first one, the second one? Okay, let me go for the second one today. And when you say it, and you will feel the meaning more, and with that meaning, inshallah, you will experience khushu' as well. Yes? Very good. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah also said the first dua has more words that appear in the Quran as well. So he said the words of the Quran are obviously the better words to use. And the first dua has more of those words. Okay. Now, we're just going to do two more phrases, inshallah, before I conclude with some practical tips, and then we'll open up for question and answer. So, you've made takbirat al-ihram, and we know what that means. Allah is greater, ... complete with whatever you are doing. And now we are going to the dua. We've done the dua, sorry, and now it's isti'adha. You say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan. What does this mean? Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he said, isti'adha is the idea of someone fleeing from something they are really scared of to go to someone who can protect them from that thing. That you flee from something you are scared of to someone who has the power to protect you or to prevent that thing from harming you. So, an example, let's say you just left your house, minding your own business, and then you see a Rottweiler running towards you, and you don't like dogs. Where do you go? What do you do? This crazy dog is running towards you. Where are you going to go? Up a tree? Okay. And you know what? You may magically acquire the abilities to climb a tree in that moment as well. But where did you just come from? You're going to go straight back home, aren't you? And you're going to make an excuse to your wife that it was something else. This is isti'adha. Yes? That you fled from something you were scared of to a place or a person that could protect you from that. Now, who is the one fleeing? We are. Who are we fleeing from? A shaitan. To whom are we fleeing to? Allah. This is isti'adha. And you say, A'udhu billah min ash-shaytan ar-rajim. We describe shaitan as ar-rajim. Rajam means to hurl something or to throw something. Rajim has two opposite meanings. The first meaning is that shaitan is the one who people hurl and throw things at. What do they hurl and throw things at? Curses, disparaging remarks. Allah, His curse is thrown upon a shaitan. That is why he is ar-rajim, the one who has things hurled onto him. And even in Hajj, we know the symbolic throwing of the stones. That is symbolic for throwing something at shaitan. The other meaning of ar-rajim is that he is the one who launches things at people. Now what does he launch at people? What does he cast into people's minds and hearts? Wiswas, impulses, temptation. So the thing that you are scared of is not shaitan, but what shaitan can make you do. And in salah, that's very important, because what shaitan will do is he will try to disrupt your salah. He will try to spoil your salah. Now what is subhanAllah amazing is that the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that shaitan, he doesn't even leave us alone when we're sleeping. Because he told us that nightmares, who do they come from? A shaitan. And when you wake up, you should spit on your left hand side and say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan al-rajim. Now if he doesn't leave you alone when you're sleeping, what do you think he's going to do when you're praying? He's going to be on full force, isn't it? He's going to try his level best to try and disrupt your salah. That's why when you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan al-rajim, you better mean it. And you better have hope that Allah, He is the one, He can stop shaitan no matter how powerful he is. Against A'udhu billahi minash shaitan al-rajim, shaitan becomes a puppy. He is unable to do anything to you. And this is isti'adha. Finally, the Basmala. The Basmala in Arabic is the short way to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, meaning it's a label for Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, again, a very profound statement. Bismillah is also an incomplete sentence. So let's write that down. Bismillah is also an incomplete sentence. It means in or with the name of Allah. In or with the name of Allah, ... Now if we say with the name of Allah, ... what is it that is going to follow and complete the sentence? With the name of Allah do I offer this prayer. And we already learned that Allah's name is full of barakah. So what you're saying is that I invoke the name of Allah and all the barakah it has to help me offer this salah. Bismillah is now completed with that idea. That with your name am I going to pray this salah. With your name am I going to get your help to offer this salah. With your name I'm going to unlock barakah to help me complete this salah. And Allah is then described with two of His most common names in the Quran. These two names appear in the Quran more than any other name of Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim is mentioned more than 150 times in the Quran. And both those names revolve around three ideas: love, compassion, and mercy. Love, compassion, mercy. Allah is described as the one who is the most compassionate, the most loving, the most merciful in the life of human beings. So you are describing Allah as the one, as somebody who will definitely help you. Somebody who will definitely look out for you. Somebody who can help you in a way that nobody else can. This is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now, just imagine, brothers and sisters, that you did all of these four things, knowing their meanings. Would you not have an amazing salah? Like you said Allahu Akbar and you told yourself Allah is greater than my work right now, that's why I'm doing this, Allahu Akbar. And then you made that dua, celebrating the praises of Allah as He deserves to be praised. And then you said, A'udhu Billah, aware of the plot and attack of shaitan, seeking Allah's help. And then you said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, getting the help and the barakah of Allah to initiate that salah. Would your salah not change? Of course it would. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who offer their salah with khushu' every single time. Allahumma ameen. Okay, now just some practical tips. So I think I have on page number 5, yes. So last week I offered some practical tips. Before salah, what did I say last week before salah? What was the practical tip? Yeah. 10-second rule, and what was the other one? Don't pray Fajr in your bedroom, yes, and?
5 times rather than 3 times.
Yes, the dua, the adhkar you're supposed to say in your ruku' and sajda, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil A'la. Try to increase from 3 to 5, 7, 9, 11, etc. Very good. Now, before salah, another tip. Dress to impress. Dress to impress. You ever wondered why workplaces enforce uniform? You know why? Because when you dress a particular way, you behave a certain way. When you dress casual, you act casual. That's just the way it works. In fact, if somebody dressed you up like a king and started talking to you as if you're a king, you would start behaving like you're a king. Did you know that? That's the psychology. Now, this is not something I'm plucking out of thin air. Allah says in the Quran, Ya bani Adam, khudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. In Surah Al-A'raf, Allah says, O children of Adam, adorn yourself in every place of sajda. Adorn yourself in every place of sajda. And Imam Sa'adi said, this means that it is recommended for you to dress nicely when you offer your prayer. Now the psychological effect of that, brothers and sisters, is quite profound. If you dress nicely, you will appreciate your prayer more. And you will find your heart becomes present. Now if you pray in a lungi, or your worst thobe, or maybe even worse than that, then trust me, it is number one, disrespectful, and number two, you will struggle to find that type of focus in your prayers. Because the way you're dressed is kind of making you think that, what's the point anyway? I'm just doing this, at the bare minimum level. So this tip is a very important one. You can try it, inshallah, straight away. Next salah, have a thobe or some abaya for sisters ready there, just for your salah, a nice one. You know what? Treat yourself, go and buy something nice, just for the prayers. And wear it, inshallah, you will see the effect it has. The second and last piece of advice, practical tip, is have your own iqamah time. Have your own iqamah time. Now, when you come to the masjid, there is an iqamah time, right? What was the iqamah time for Isha? 8:15. Now, what if you turned up at 8:16? Would they wait for you? They wouldn't wait for you, would they? If I turned up at 8:16, they wouldn't wait for me. So iqamah time means this is the fixed time you're going to pray, doesn't matter what happens. Now let me tell you what usually happens, a very common scenario. Let's imagine you're at work or at uni and you're busy doing something and you notice that this time of dhuhr comes in. Now this is the earliest time to pray dhuhr. You have earliest time, then you got the middle time, then you got the end time. Which time does shaitan want you to pray in? First, second or third? Third, right? What time does the Prophet ﷺ want you to pray in? The first time, correct. But this is what usually happens. You say to yourself, I've got loads of time. I've got 3 hours. Sure, I've got things to do. Inshallah, I'll pray in the next hour. Now that time comes and you think, what? I've got these tickets for kebab roll. I think I'm going to go treat myself. Because I'm hungry. You shouldn't pray when you're hungry. There's a hadith, I heard about that. So you say to yourself, I'll pray after lunch. I'll pray after lunch. It's okay, I've got plenty of time, you tell yourself. Then what happens after lunch, you actually do want to pray. You go and do wudu, and then something pops up. Some errand or some meeting or something comes in the way. And you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot how to do that. So let me just quickly do that, and then I'll offer my salah. Then you look at your clock, and there's only 10 minutes left to the dhuhr. And now you are dreading missing the salah. You're thinking, oh my God, now I've got to rush to pray. So you quickly zoom into the prayer room, and when you are praying, because you are dreading the idea that you may be punished for missing this salah, you offer the salah as if it is a burden, something you just need to get off your back and get rid of. Does that scenario sound familiar to anyone? Familiar scenario, isn't it? Look what just happened. Shaitan, he transformed your salah, which is supposed to be a meaningful gift that you present to Allah, into a burden that you want to get rid of. This is the way Shaitan manipulates you, brothers and sisters. That he tells you, pray later, procrastination takes place, and then you pray the salah in a way that only Allah knows if it is accepted. May Allah forgive us. So in order to mitigate that, set your own iqamah time. Tomorrow I'm going to work, and dhuhr, my iqamah time, 1:45. It doesn't matter whether I'm hungry, it doesn't matter whether I'm busy doing something, 1:45 comes and that's it. It's like I'm in the masjid, things ain't going to wait. No one's going to wait for me. I'm going to offer my salah. This, inshallah, is another practical tip. Ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to allow us to experience the salah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah give us tawfiq and ikhlas. Allahumma